Hello, this is Dr. Earl with Denali Medical. To get us started, I'd like to ask you a question. Are you ready? I mean, really ready. Are you ready to find solutions? Are you ready to find root source healing? If you are, well, let's go.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Hey, Dr. Earl, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're good. We missed you.
Good, good.
Yes.
Well, I miss you guys too. It's just, how crazy things get, isn't it? Wow.
It's just been, I know you took a little hiatus because to do a few things. We understand that happens. And then all this happened during your hiatus. And we have a few questions for you, Dr. Earl. We were wondering, first of all, of course, unfortunately, with the corona. Listen, Dr. Earl, I've been telling people, and I don't, and get your opinion on this because I trust her. But I also, and then I know you're going to say a few words. But I've been telling people to take maybe they could try liquid oxygen, which is hydrogen peroxide, food grade. You just have to wait 3 or 4 hours before you take your vitamins. But I hear that cuts a lot of stuff off. Colloidal silver, ionic colloidal silver, but you have to take it with a probiotic. I hope that helps fight different types of viruses and stuff off. Oil of oregano, because it's very potent. It's not like a jalapeno. It's not spicy like that. It's just very potent because it's oregano. Comes in a liquid as well as a capsule. We recommended Equinesia if you get sick. We recommended Bragg's apples or organic apple cider vinegar because that cuts out fungus and stuff like that. But maybe you'd like to enlighten us a little bit on besides washing your hands and stuff like that, how our listening audience could use a few pointers.
A few pointers, and we're obviously talking specifically about COVID.
Yeah.
COVID-19, good old COVID-19. It's interesting. We get on the other side of this, and we'll look back and say, okay, we freaked out about, okay, and we are going to get on the other side. I think that's the big thing to keep in mind is that we are going to get on the other side. Most of the things that you talked about are very good. The big thing that we need to keep in mind is that sometimes a lot of these things to help us when we're sick aren't necessarily great to help keep our immune system running at peak efficiency when we're not sick. I took care of a patient one time, and she came in just hysterical, and she said, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and she listed off 10 things, and she was doing essential oils, and she was doing all this other stuff. And I said, gosh, how is the body able to keep up with everything you're doing and fight off the infection? And so we have this tendency, both in the healthcare industry and as people, to get so anxious, and then we start to think, okay, I'm not better within a short period of time. I'll throw more at it and more at it and more at it. And we actually end up causing more issues than not. And if I may, the perfect scenario, or I should say the closest resemblance to how this happens and how it can be detrimental is when you're trying to grow a garden or make your grass green or what have you. We know after years of experience that if you put just enough fertilizer out there, obviously if you put too little, it's not enough. If you put just right, it works and everything greens up and it just grows really quickly and everything is happy. But if you put too much, you end up burning the plants and the seeds die. You can actually scorch the soil with too much at one time. And so sometimes just taking a big sigh and saying, okay, what can I do? What are the basics that I need to do? And then if I do get sick, then here are some key components that I can do to help keep myself well. So with that in mind, if you are healthy and if you're not sick, don't go overboard. But here are the basics of things that you should take to really keep yourself optimal and keep your immune system functioning the way it should. Number one, sleep. Get sleep. sleep can sometimes be hard to come by because everybody's anxious and you're worried and you're reading this. Set a time, set yourself a schedule. You know, when people are home, they tend to, you know, they're watching late movies. Just say, okay, this is when I'm going to bed and this is when I'm getting up. And the reality is they've shown that you can actually bolster your immune system significantly with a mid-afternoon nap. So something between 2 and 4, take a brief nap. Believe it or not, 30 minutes seems to be optimal, and most people say that's not nearly long enough, but that's been shown to be the optimal nap time because you're not so far into a sleep cycle that it causes you to be groggy afterwards. And sleep cycles do last 90 minutes. People will say, what about the 90-minute sleep cycle? Again, 30-minute nap has been shown to keep you alert, active, and give you enough of a rest to let your body make it through the rest of the day. So sleep is key. The second big key is decrease your stress. This is always easier said than done, but there's very simple ways to do that. So when you get up in the morning, don't start your day by going to reading your email, reading the news, and getting yourself all worked up about what's happening. Start your day with some quiet time. Disconnect. Do some journal writing. Writing is actually amazingly therapeutic as far as forcing your brain and your body to slow down and connect everything together. And then the rest of the day seems to just flow in a much better fashion. There are a lot of other things that we can talk about as far as how to relieve stress. I could do an entire 30 minutes or hour or whatever on that at some point in time. But just doing some basics, take some time to think, plan, meditate, and interestingly enough, again, write. The process of taking thoughts from your brain to your arm and to a pen and paper is so much more therapeutic than typing or so and different forms. So just take some time to write. Write poetry, write stories, just whatever gets your juice flowing. Just try and get some writing done. You'll be shocked at how therapeutic it is and how much clearer your day works through the rest of the day. And for the rest of the day, if you feel that inside you're getting overly anxious about, Dr. So-and-so said this and the news said that and so forth, unplug for 30 minutes and go back and do some things that will help you relieve your stress. So absolutely critical. Stress increases cortisol that then actually decreases your immune system. And so make sure you're decreasing stress. And I got to tell you, those two things really are simple, but they are two of the most powerful things you can do to help your immune system, bar none. And so then from there, you want to start looking at things that you can take to keep your immune system strong, healthy, and vibrant without overdoing it. So a good multivitamin, something that gets absorbed, is absolutely critical. Taking vitamin C, again, something that gets absorbed is really good. Vitamin C is critical for your immune system and also for your adrenals. So you may want to look at increasing your vitamin C intake because of all the stress that's going on. Take some vitamin D. Vitamin D is beneficial throughout your entire body, but again, very critical for stress reduction and for immune function. And that's really what we need to kind of focus on. There is some evidence that vitamin A and E help. That's great. There is definitive evidence that zinc helps, especially with viruses. And so typically you want to take a little bit of zinc when you're not sick, not too much. Zinc is a metal, so don't go overboard and just say, I'm going to do zinc until the cows come home. Take a little bit of zinc while you're healthy, and then if you get sick, take increased doses. Then one of the other critical things you'd already mentioned is the apple cider vinegar. The way that I like to do the apple cider vinegar is I take a quarter to a half teaspoon of baking soda, and then I mix that with a tablespoon of the apple cider vinegar and a tablespoon of lemon juice. So if I'm just doing a quarter teaspoon, then it's just one of them. So a quarter teaspoon baking soda to 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and you mix that together. And people say, well, aren't you canceling them out because the baking soda is base and the cider vinegar is obviously acidic? The reality is our bodies are amazing. And what we're doing is we're giving it all of the components that it needs, and then it gets to choose what it uses. So if you're in an acidic environment, it will take up the base. And if you're in a basic environment, an alkaline environment, it will take up the acid. So you give the body both choices, and it will make the right choice. Then if you do get sick, obviously the things that you talked about can be very beneficial. Silver, oregano, echinacea, doing a lot of those simple things. So still stay on these foundational things, but doing a lot of those other things, keeping well hydrated, those type of things. You still want to do all those basics, but then adding in some of the other things you talked about can be very important.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Earl. That's really good. See, Dr. Earl, I got to ask you a question.
Please.
The diatomaceous earth food grade, how do you take that again to get rid of parasites?
So it's 1 teaspoon, and you can put it in your drink of choice, and just once a day.
Okay. Once a day. Now do this for 3 months?
Yeah, usually I recommend you do it fairly consistently, if not every day, for 3 months. And then after that, you can just do it sporadically. And the reason we do 3 months is because that's some of the parasites, that's some of their life cycle. And they'll go dormant for a period of time, but they have to come back into an active cycle at some time during that 3 months. And so you'll end up getting most, if not all of them. And here's the other thing. You'll never get rid of all of the parasites because we switch them out. They're everywhere. So this is something that you just do consistently for the rest of your life, but it doesn't have to be every day after you do that focus 3 months.
Okay. And hey, Dr. Earl, what about what's it called? It's called liquid. It comes from a cactus plant too, aloe vera. How do you take liquid aloe vera?
Well, a lot of that depends upon what concentration you get. Is it in the gel form? Okay. Is it just a straight liquid, and so forth? And most, because of the difference in the concentration, most preparations will have a suggested use for how to take that.
Okay.
The real beneficial thing about aloe vera is that it helps our skin. It helps the lining of the digestive system. And it's really critical for type 2 diabetics to take as well.
Oh, really? So it's good for diabetes.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's something called glycobiology. We're finding that there are these 8 essential sugars that most people have never heard about, but come to find out they actually perform a critical role in our bodies. And if we don't get those 8 essential sugars in our bodies, then what happens is the proteins, the connections, all of basically the functions of our bodies start to break down. A perfect example, whey protein. Everybody gets excited about whey protein, and they take these protein drinks and protein shakes and protein powders, and it has a lot of whey protein. Well, they're finding that whey protein in its bare form like that actually works dramatically different if it's coupled with lactose. With lactose inside of the body, it actually goes through a process where it's a little slower, it isn't as hard on our liver, and it gives benefit to our bodies in a different way. Obviously, then people say, well, lactose is a carbohydrate, and they're exactly right. And if they're trying to, just go carbohydrate free. But if you take whey protein isolate in and of itself, your liver can turn it into glucose at a very rapid speed. One of the more one of the quicker ways that our body can turn, or one of the quicker proteins that our body can turn into glucose, is from whey protein. And so you end up defeating the purpose of taking this high protein food by driving gluconeogenesis with just simple whey protein. So kind of interesting. This glycobiology, it's an old science that's getting a lot of new interest. Aloe vera has all the essential sugars, or most of them, and can really help calm a lot of that down as far as inflammation.
Wow.
Great thing to take.
Great. Okay. All right. Liquid aloe vera. Okay. Cool. Thanks, Doctor. You're the best. Also, too, I want to recommend, I did a big, I'll give a thing too, the Bioenergy C, guys. If you take the Bioenergy C, one scoop, it's 4,000 milligrams of vitamin C. So you can take one in the morning and one in the afternoon or one at night, and really boost your immune system. But really, it also, too, makes you sleep better. You feel better when you're on it. It's amazing. So the Bioenergy C is fantastic. The phone number is 1-800-674-3250, 1-800-674-3250. worldsgreatestvitaminc.com, worldsgreatestvitaminc.com. Again, the phone number is 1-800-674-3250, 1-800-674-3250, worldsgreatestvitaminc.com. Mention our program, Revolution Radio, Granada Forum, Nikki and Wendy, Natural Health Connections, and probably help you out there some. There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I like your, by the way, I love the powdered vitamin C. You don't have to take pills, you don't have to break them down, not even chewables. You just take it, put it in your drink, and it's just fantastic. And it hits the system, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. And it really is amazing. It's amazing stuff.
So, Dr. Earl, have you had people calling your clinic with a myriad of questions?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. And keeping, and family and friends, my phone has just been blowing up. People that I haven't heard from in 10, 20 years are like, hey, Dr. Earl, we heard about this and blah, 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 and what do we do? And so, yeah, it's just been blowing up. And there's been a lot of people that have been asking about, can we get the prescriptions? I'm like, are you sick? And no, we're not sick, but we just want to have it just in case. And it's the just in cases that really bring a system to a halt in a lot of ways. And I know of people that are getting these. You're talking about, there's several antivirals that aren't specific for coronavirus that they're wanting to get prescriptions for. There's the chloroquine, that is the malaria drug that people are excited about. Then there was a little research on Z-Pak, or azithromycin, and the reality is, early science is always bad science. It just is. I mean, when this all comes out, and if you look at the trends from all the other coronaviruses, there are 7 of them, but before this now 8th one that have infected man. The percentage of death goes down dramatically. The contagiousness goes down. We don't really know the scope of what it's doing and what's going on, and we won't for quite a few years, just like we did with SARS and MERS, and those got a lot of attention. But if you're not sick, don't be pushing to take or introduce these pharmaceuticals into your body. It's chemicals that your body has to deal with. They haven't been shown that they're protective. They just help you deal with it when you're sick. And the reality is, our bodies are amazing. The body is a miracle. And if you can, think about this, if you can get over the disease with your own strength, with your own amazing immune system, because you've done the basics that we've talked about here, getting sleep, decreasing your stress, taking good multivitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc, And again, don't go overboard on the zinc. But you then come across the COVID-19, and just like we've done for millennia, our amazing immune system steps up to the plate and does what it does and is amazing and fights it off. Guess what? You have the best protection on the planet. So the reality is, just like the rest of the COVID viruses are, for a majority of society, we're going to look at it, we're going to fight it off, and we're going to be amazing if we don't do little things to weaken our immune systems. And then those people who get really sick, we reserve the strong medications for them, and then we just progress accordingly. And again, I would emphasize, just a big pause. Make sure you take time out of your day to be with family, connect with friends, do all these little things. We've certainly got some time, if you're home, to do all these little things that'll make a big difference in your life once all this passes and is blown over.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Dr. Earl.
Yeah, and then, we are staying home unless you have an essential job, and it's called for. So then that in itself is supposed to give you the most protection. I guess if people are worried, they should just, follow the orders. And like you said, these are great plans. I heard about the zinc as well, and, because it's a metal, and heavy metals, or I don't know if it's a heavy metal, but it's a metal, they tend to interfere with the viruses, right, or viruses.
Yeah, the heavy metals can, but then again, in too much, and again, we're talking, looking at the silver as well. I know a lot of people that are going crazy with the silver. It's still a metal, and it can slow down your immune system. Now, zinc in particular slows down. There's an enzyme inside of your body, inside of your cells, that the virus needs in order to replicate its RNA. And zinc will interfere and block that. But this is one of those cases where a little is good, a lot is not better unless you get sick. And then if you get sick, you may increase your dose a little bit. The same with all of these other things. Again, take the recommended doses of not antivirals, excuse me. Faux pas there. Take the recommended doses of your multivitamins, your vitamin C, your vitamin D, and do some of these basics. Don't go overboard. Don't tax your body with a lot of extra junk. Just live clean and let your miracle, amazing body do its job. And it will. It will.
Hey, I have one more question for you, Dr. Earl. Someone told me, there's a rumor going around that ibuprofen, acetaminophen, and Advil are sending the virus into deeper depths, or whatever, or making it act more virulent, changing it into pneumonia. Is there any truth to that?
Well, so
the physiologic.
And the science, there is some truth to that. The science is, so acetaminophen is taxing and difficult on the liver. And the liver is a huge part of your immune system. It has to deal with a lot of these chemicals, and the virus can get in and infect your liver cells just as much as any of the other cells. And so if you're doing things that compromise your liver or any part of your body, then the virus has an easier time to move in and move in more aggressively. And then ibuprofen, just on a lot of different levels, it gives us symptomatic relief, but it's a chemical that our body has to figure out how to deal with. And so anytime, we're back to that same conversation, live clean, keep things out of your body that just don't need to be there, and because then your body has to deal with it, and it's spending energy over here dealing with the chemicals when it really needs to be spending its energy fighting the virus. Yeah, great question.
So I guess Aleve with naproxen would be the same thing.
Exactly the same thing, yes. Yeah, and in my clinic, we do a lot of injections and rejuvenating and joint injections, and ibuprofen actually blocks your body's ability to lay down new collagen. And so And this is a big thing for women out there who want to keep their youthful looks and appearances. Ibuprofen blocks collagen in your skin and deposition of collagen in your skin. And so you end up wrinkling faster. I mean, it's symptomatic relief. If you need it, take it. If you don't, then let your body do what it's supposed to do. Common sense.
Wow, thank you.
Wow.
It's amazing.
But that makes a lot of sense, though, Doctor.
We have 1 minute left, so I guess we better give out websites and phone numbers.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me get out the vitamin C, and then Dr. Earl can get out his clinic. Hold on. For the Bioenergy C, guys, for the vitamin C that comes in a powder, it's Bioenergy C, 1-800-674-3250, 1-800-674-3250, 1-800-674-3250 at worldsgreatestvitaminc.com, worldsgreatestvitaminc.com. One more time, worldsgreatestvitaminc.com. And mention if I get a discount. It's nice people like them. Dr. Earl.
Yeah, clinic is Denali Medical, denalimed.com, DENALIMED.com. Right now, we're focusing on a lot of rejuvenation and so forth, but we're growing, expanding, having a lot of fun. So anyway, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. You're the best.
Thank you. You've answered a lot of questions today. That's fabulous. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you for being on today. We needed you.
Well, I appreciate the time as well. Thank you.
Okay. At the beginning of this lecture, I asked you, are you ready? Are you ready? And we're going to close with that same question. Are you ready? If you are, let's go.